is the petrol station we'll be popping into later, no doubt. Welcome back to episode 92. So, I forgot to say last time that on the 2nd of March marked the 2nd anniversary of me doing this rebuild. So 2 years ago, a complete wreck that didn't run arrived on my driveway, and today I lean against a complete wreck that does run. No, but in all seriousness, I think I've achieved quite a lot over the last 2 years. You know, we've gone through all the fueling, the brakes, obviously the engine, the cooling on the engine, the steering, the gearbox. Okay, I've only done a service on the gearbox, but you know, and it's all up and running. I'm really pleased with that. And it kind of leads me, well, in last week's video, let's cover that first. You saw me try and resolve the whining noise, which is really worrying because I'd done all that work on the engine, and then so in the background I was thinking, is it sort of the big end? Is it something really quite bad that I've got to take the engine back out? Fine, I'll do it, but that's what my worry. So I was really relieved to see that it was just me being stupid and not talking up a nut. I've also had the car up now during the week and sort of been underneath the entire bottom of the engine, checking everything's torqued up correctly. It all is, so we're okay. Anyway, so in this week's video, what I want to do is celebrate that 2nd anniversary and just drive the car a little bit. We're going to take it out, we're going to start putting some miles on it, and just try to extend the distance that I'm going. You know, I've been up and down the road, which is about 200 metres. I want to go a bit further. I want to try and spread it a little bit and see how far we can get. We've got a working fuel gauge now, so at least I know how much fuel there is. There's no speedo at the moment. I suspect my cluster, you know, there's ribbon connectors on the back there, I think they're a bit tatty. So in the nearish future, I'm going to have it all back out again, retrim the dash, and I'm going to resolve once and for all the connectors on the back of the cluster. So hopefully that'll make an interesting video for other people in the same situation. But for now, let's just get in there. There's a couple of little jobs I need to do on the car before we get it out, but it's going to be a driving video. So let's see how we get on. I know Porsche is complete without the badge, so I spent a bit of time and put the badge on. If you remember back in one of the videos I picked up, I can't remember what I paid now, but it was cheap by today's prices. And I popped that on. That looks really cool, I think. And obviously the bonnet is completely tatty, but it's nice to get it on there. And please remember, click that subscribe button. 2000 is in my sights now. I really want to get there. We're not far off, it won't take long. Click the subscribe. You don't have to watch all the videos, but it helps me sort of grow the channel and keeps me motivated. So I think we're going to take it for a drive on the public road for the first time ever. I've started up, I've been around, checked everything looks okay. I think we'll just go for it and see what it does. Feels kind of weird. It's the what ifs. What if it doesn't work? What if it dies? What if it stalls? What if I get stranded? I guess we're going to find out now. Okay, we are on public road now. And the steering wheel is definitely not on straight. And the speedo doesn't work. Let's see if it wants to go into another gear. Seems to want to. It's working. Sitting in second at the moment, I believe. But it is working. It is working. Just. So I think what I'm going to do, actually go straight a bit more. Disappointing the speedo is not coming up, but okay. We've got a fire extinguisher. Try the indicators. So the indicators do work, I know that. like to see it go into a second gear or third even, but it doesn't seem to want to. So we need to look at why that is. Something fell off. Oh, that doesn't matter. So I'm going to do a little loop. We're going to turn here. Basically, these are very quiet roads down here. So if it does break down, it's sort of tucked out the way somewhere. Behaving though. Okay, it's very bumpy, it's wallowy, it's all over the road, but it's behaving, from what I can tell. Let's just see why. So that's first. Maybe it was in second, because when it just changed down into first, it did change. Something happened. Petrol's reading half, which is probably right, not far off. Now it's changed up. It did change up then. Kind of cool, isn't it? Brakes seem to work. I should do a bit of an emergency brake just to check it's all good, but seems to be okay. I've slowed down at corners and junctions. Yeah, it does brake. A bit of speed up here. Oh, no, it's gone up again. Okay. So we're probably doing good 35, I'd say. It went into third gear, I think, or second maybe. Probably second actually. It's at 2000 RPM. Changed up again. Right, that was the first road trip. That was really good. No problems at all. Steering a little bit woolly and all those sorts of things. I know that the geometry is off, way off, because I can visibly see that front passenger wheel sort of pointing outwards a bit. But it survived it. It was no problem. I think I might take it again, maybe. I'm just seeing if I can smell anything bad going on. Right, it's time for road trip 2. From what I can tell, the brakes are sticking on. Not ideal. The discs are all quite warm, the brake light's stuck on here, and the brake lights at the back of the car are on. But I can't see why. So I think what I'm going to do is just take it out again, maybe not as far, pump the brakes a bit, just try and get a little bit of movement through them, and maybe they just free up. I know they have worked perfectly because I've reconditioned them all. And maybe it's just something in the master cylinders sticking a little bit. But let's go and find out. See there, that's not moving because they are stuck on, aren't they? I can tell that. It doesn't... You can tell by how it's doesn't want to move. So definitely need to sort that out. Yeah, like it's like I'm sticking the brakes on. Okay, maybe I won't take it out again. I'd like to find out why that is though. Right, I'm going to call it quits there on the driving. The brakes are definitely seized on, so I need to have the wheels off, go in there and have a look. I've gone around them with a mallet and a sort of like a pole and sort of tapped on the side of each of the inside pads, which I think is the right side, just to see if it freed up, but it didn't make any difference. So I think what I'll do is probably get the, I might do the back of the car this time. I've had the front up just now, looking at something else, but I think I'll get the back up, have the wheels off, and then we can just sort of see what's going on. While I'm at the back, I can also look at the handbrake as well, which I don't think actually works. But I think that'd be quite a good thing to do before we go out on the road any further. So this morning's job should be quite a straightforward one. It's, and I know I can't do geometry by eye, but I can definitely tell this wheel is way out. So I'm sure you can see, and I noticed when driving it wobbles all over the place. So what I'm going to do is just adjust the tie rod there, just to sort of at least straighten the wheel so it's approximately in the right direction. It's perhaps hard to actually sort of visualize how far out this wheel is. So what I've done is strap a straight piece of wood onto it. Now that wood, it's difficult to give you a good view of it, but you can see it goes off quite a bit. I mean, it's probably about 5 degrees out or something. And all I want to do is just move that so it's approximately facing forward. Right, so I've undone the nut here on top of the ball joint. I'm just going to finish it off quickly, and then we can separate. Right, so just use the separator tool to, if I can get that in there. It's quite a tight fit actually on this one. It's not ideal. There we are. Right, not exactly a pop, but it came out. So now what we'll do is just remove that out, wind it in, actually wind it out a couple of turns, and put it all back together. If I can just get that to come out. There it comes. There we are, right. So now we're just going to wind this out a few. Right, I just need a little bit more force to get on there, so 2 spanners like that, and then just grip them together, and that's come undone. So I can now wind that out a little bit. So let's think. Now my wheel was facing out too much, so I want to bring it in, which means this needs to extend out a little bit. So let's try 1 turn, which is the unit I've got. I can't turn half a turn. And let's see what that looks like. Right, again, it's quite tricky to see probably. I think that gives you probably the best angle. It's definitely come in, but it's still pointing out a little bit. So I'm just going to go around and check the other tyre, because I've pulled it around a little bit, make sure that I've not pulled the steering over. But that is still slightly off, probably 1 more turn. Yep, looks like 1 more turn would be just about perfect, so let's quickly undo this ball joint again and just slacken it off 1 more turn. When I put this together in the first place, you know, a year ago or so, whatever it was all just done by guesswork and by eye, so it's no surprise I'm a little bit out. There we go. Right, I need to come back and just torque that up correctly, but let's get the wood on it one last time. I'm pretty sure that'll be alright. Alright, it's probably hard for you to see as usual, but let's come right in, and of course I come round, it'll look like it's poking out, but that pretty much sits straight out the front of the car now. Excellent. Right, a couple of jobs to do today. I suddenly noticed that the starter motor wire is slightly loose. Now I'm trying to get the front suspension to settle, which you just keep driving it, and each time I lift the front up, it sort of resets that, sort of the drop. So I realised I've got some ramps in the garage, so I've just tried those and it all fits. So I'm going to climb under, do the starter motor, but then on top of that I've got the brake booster. Right, it's all tight underneath there now. It's actually quite hard to film, obviously, but I'll give you a brief look underneath the car. Looking pretty good at the moment. Right, now, when I was driving out on the road the other day, the brakes seemed to be binding on. And I've tracked it down to a badly adjusted brake booster push rod here, that when I disassembled everything and put it all back together, I probably didn't do it to the correct setting. So I'm going to have that out and adjust it. What I think is happening is that the brakes are constantly being pressed, and that's heating up and eventually sort of expanding the brake fluid, we're just then pressing the brakes harder and it sort of just all locks up in the end. So we're going to have that out and see what's going on there. Adjusting the brake pretty much is as simple as just flicking off this clip here, and then I wind this in. Well, I'm going to wind it in as far as it will go, and then I'm going to come back and reach about a midway point, and that should sort out the brake pedal then. Here we go, road trip 4, maybe even 5. This will be the longest trip we've done so far in the car. Not expecting too many problems, but you never know. But let's try. It's a bit further. It's going about probably, I guess about 8 miles there, probably something like 8 miles, 7, 8 miles. Let's see how the old girl does. Stone cold, just straight out the garage. Jumped in and drive, that's the theory. Still an annoying rattle on my side, I thought I'd resolved, but clearly not. Oil pressure's good. The alternator's doing some things, up at 11 volts. The fuel is just under a half, which sounds about right. I suppose about a third. I'm hoping to make it to the petrol station as well today, but we'll see how that pans out. I've got a fuel tank on me, or a fuel canister, although it's empty, but we'll see about that. But so far it's been really good. I've been really pleased how the car's going, slowly extending its range. I've checked the windscreen wipers work because it may rain today, although I don't really want to get caught out in the rain. But it's been good, it's been behaving, so anything can go wrong, but let's just see what happens. I'm hopeful that we do this journey pretty much without a hitch, obviously. I would like a speedo that works though. It's a little bit tricky knowing how fast you're going. This is a speed camera here, so I guess we're going 30 now. That's cool. How cool is that? And slowly the suspension's settling. I've got a pretty useless way of measuring it from the road up to the wheel arch, and it's sitting at 71.5 centimeters now. It used to be at 73, so it is slowly coming down. And I've probably done about 15 miles, I suppose, something like that. But it's pretty flat driving, it's not bumpy or anything. Hopefully it'll just slowly come back down. I'm not sure where it should be, but it's still definitely too high. We're starting now to think about the next projects. I've been discussing the exhaust with a couple of companies. Unfortunately, they want me to bring the car over to them, which I'm a little bit hesitant because they're, a fair distance away, probably 30 miles away. I'm a little bit worried about that. So we won't be doing the exhaust anytime soon by the looks of it. And this exhaust is all airtight, it's silent, so there's no major problem. I can hear the fan belt just slipping slightly. One of the fans, alternator probably, that was the looser I think out of a lot of them. It does squeal a little bit, I need to tighten it up. Not a big deal, obviously. 2,500 RPM, just extending it up to 3,000 RPM. I'll ease off and let it change. So that seems to be the technique to make it change gears, just back off the throttle a little bit. And I guess the gearbox knows, right, that's enough forwards movement, acceleration, and changes up. completely dead. Not that you can really see, but to celebrate that epic journey, I fitted this piece of trim, so the light is sort of shining on it. So it's the side of the transmission tunnel. I figured just pop that in, tied it up a little bit. It was looking a bit bare, and the actual interior carpets aren't in bad condition. They're dirty, but they're not bad at all really, so they're all reusable. So that longer drive went really well. There's only one hiccup over the entire, I guess it's about 15 miles. When I got to my friend's, I couldn't start it. I turned it off and we talked for 5 minutes maybe. I turned it on and there was nothing. Click, 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 nothing at all. I ran my finger across the fuses as any good mechanic does, and it started. So there must be something dodgy on the fuses there somewhere. Either that or maybe there's a loose wire there somewhere, but nothing would really surprise me. Although generally the electrics have been pretty good on this car, it wouldn't surprise me if there's something a little bit dodgy there. But it was a relatively event-free, trouble-free journey. I literally drove there, no problems, chatted to her for a while, went to another friend's, parked up, started no problem at all, and then I drove back and it was pretty good. One thing I noticed though is this car, it handles really well. I mean, I'm not pushing it of course, but it's absolutely flat in the corners. It doesn't really seem to lean at all, and I purposely went across the road that's really undulating, really bumpy. Car was no problem in it, and it's slowly, the reason I did it is it's slowly bringing that front end down. You know, 928s have a complicated, strange suspension that if you lift them up, it stays elevated for a while and then slowly across, I don't know how many, like 50 odd miles, it sinks back down. Mine's slowly sinking down, so I'll be pleased when that's back down to normal height. And I've swapped to putting it up on ramps now, as opposed to lifting the end and the front end and letting the suspension sag again and sort of expand out. I'm driving up ramps, which is a lot safer as well actually. Right, I'm going to leave it there this week. That was a lot of fun. That's really nice driving it out on the road. I'm itching to get it out on the road more and more now. And if it hadn't had that sort of no start issue, I'd be driving it even more. What I need to do is take it to a petrol station, which is going to be a regular event, I'm afraid. But because I don't want to go to a petrol station and try and turn the key in and not start, and I get stuck and have to tow it home and stuff like that. I need to build up a little bit more confidence with the starter. That's the first time it's done it. Although I did notice the other day when I was doing something, I can't remember what, I think I was doing the fuel gauge stuff, I noticed that occasionally I turn the key and all the warning lights flash. Sort of, you know, 1 second pulsing on and off. If anyone knows why that is, let me know. Never seen it before, never heard anyone talking about it, but it's the big, you know, the master warning light, and I think there was an engine warning light and something else. I can't really remember what ones, but a lot of them were flashing on and off. But I'll keep an eye on it. I've filled up my 20-litre canister, so I've got enough petrol to go on another drive. And I'm going to do a few more sort of stop-starts just to try and work out what's going on. But anyway, great fun this week. Join me next week. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. There's a few electrical things I want to try and track down. Things like the fan on the front of the, you know, the very front fan that I suppose was called the aircon, which I've removed. I want to check that spins up. The temperature gauge is not working, so I want to check whether that's actually the gauge or the sort of system, you know, the wires and stuff like that. But I'm sure there'll be stuff, there's plenty left to do on this car. Anyway, join me next week for that. Thank you for watching as ever. Click the subscribe button, get me to 2,000 please. Like and leave me some comments.